Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about all the books that I have read for the month of July. So I went without a planned TBR in July, and because I was having a reading slump by the end of June, I thought I'd just go with the flow and see what I want to read and plan nothing much. I think it worked because by the end of June I was able to pick up on my reading, and in total I have finished 8 books, which is higher than my monthly average, 5, but I'm trying to raise it to 7. Still, it is higher than that, so I'm really happy about the whole thing. So let's see what are the books that I've read. So the first book is Beach Read by M.B. Henry. This is a very much hyped book, and in this book we follow 2 writers, January and Augustus. January is a romance writer and Gus is a literary fiction writer who writes more of a dark theme. So now both of these writers are going through a writer's block. In order to get over the writer's block, they decide to switch genres, and that's what the story is all about. From the cover, this book looks like a very easy beach read, something feel-good romantic comedy, that kind of a book. But if you have read this, you know that this is no such thing. Yes, it has its light moments and fun and silly banter, but the book is more about getting over loss and grief and finding yourself. That is what this book is about. Because January hits a personal low after she loses someone. Gus basically has a dark past, and that is what made him who he is. So both of them are trying to overcome that. It's not necessarily a feel-good book, but I enjoyed reading it, and you can find a review of the book in my blog. The next book is Faith and Beloved by Kojiri Shibu. This is a crime thriller. Naiti Cherokee is a powerful businesswoman, and she is in coma. Her daughter is on the run, and her husband has been killed. Prem Rollins is a coloripator, martial art expert, and he is on the run after avenging his brother's death. So the book follows the life of Naiti, her husband Tony, and her daughter Alice and Prem. It is a journey that takes us through their life, where they came from, who they are, and how they are in the current situations. It's a very violent and graphic book. To be honest, there is a significant mention of rape in this book. There is a lot of trigger warning that you should have before going into the book. It was a one-time read for me. The plot was strong, but I had a lot of issues with many of these characters. Actually, I didn't like any of the characters. That's the truth. You can read a non-spoiler review of this book in my blog as well. The next book is a middle-grade fantasy book, The Ship of Shadows by Maria Kuzniar. I think I'm saying the author's name correct, I don't know. I joined the blog tour by the right grades for The Ship of Shadows, and I'm so glad I did, because I would have never read a middle-grade fantasy book otherwise. This is an adventure on the sea kind of book with an all-female pirate crew. We follow Aleha, who loves books and adventures. She's a little kid. She wants to go on her own adventures and voyages, but everyone in her little town tells her that girls are not meant to go for voyages. They don't get adventures. But Aleha is hopeful, and one day she finds the Ship of Shadows on her very own deck, and certain things happen and she is forced to go on an adventure with them. And Aleha misses her family, but she is very eager to be on this adventure. So this is all about her adventure, and it is very unique because the Ship of Shadows is not an ordinary ship. So that is all I can reveal without spoiling the story. I enjoyed this book. This is perhaps one of my favorite books of the month. So I have a review in my blog. If you're interested, I will leave the link in the description box below. The next book is The Deck of Omens by Kristen Lynn Herman. The Deck of Omens is the second book in the duology, The Devouring Grey. So the Grey is this kind of upside down forest area that is part of this small town 4 parts. The founding fathers of the town have restricted this Grey to the borders of the town. So the town respects these founders, whose descendants are the main characters of the story. The kids from these founding families need to come together because the beast is now set on loose, and they need to protect the people of the town from the Grey itself. The Devouring Grey is more of a contemporary fantasy because it deals with a lot of character development and growth. It is the journey of each character. This story is about their struggles with these supernatural powers and the responsibility of guarding the town and how each of them deal with it. That is what the book is about. The Deck of Omens picks up from where the Reborn Grey ended, and the whole story comes a complete circle in this book. I enjoyed the whole series. You get really interesting characters, and there is a little bit of adventure and action. Not too much, because if you are going into a fantasy expecting more of action and adventure, this is not that kind of a book. This is more of a character-driven story. That's why I liked it, because I like those kind of books. The next book is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. I think everyone in the bookish community has heard about this book. This is the companion book to Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert as well. And everyone loved this book. So I was going into this with this much feeling, okay, what is so special about the book? But, within the first few chapters, I just love this book. It's so cute and charming and just so heartwarming. This is a time when we all need something pleasant in our life, and that's why I love this book. Take a Hint, Danny Brown is a romantic comedy. It has fake dating and friends to lovers trope combined, and it is as awesome as it sounds. The story starts when a workplace fire drill video goes viral that includes both Danny and the security guard Zafir. It gets trending, so Danny and Zafir decide to fake date in order to capitalize on this few minutes of fame so that they could help this charity with which Zafir is working with. So that is how they come together, and the rest is only fun if you read it. It's a charming story. I just loved it. It is a 5 out of 5 from me. And I haven't posted the review for this, but it will be coming soon. And the next book is A Taste of Sage by Yafa Santos. So I was craving for all this food that we are missing during the lockdown period, and that is how I ended up reading this book. Lumi Santana is an up-and-coming chef, and she starts her own place at the Upper Manhattan, where she experiments with her dishes every single day and has a niche customers. But then her business fails, and she is forced to work as a sous chef in a French restaurant run by Julien Dax. So Julien Dax has this reputation of a person with a bitter tongue. He is a Methodist, and he is a very difficult to handle kind of person. The Dax is a traditional French restaurant, but Lumi is someone who enjoys experimenting with her cooking. So the book is all about the clash between the two kinds of chefs and their way of cooking. I enjoyed the food aspect of the book a lot, and the banter back and forth between the main characters is also really good. But the chemistry and the whole relationship between the two seemed a bit forced for me, which is why this was a one-time read for me. So the next book is Rules for Moving by Nancy Starr. This is a contemporary fiction novel. We follow Lane Meckler, who is an advice columnist in a magazine. In other words, she writes the Agony Aunts column. She answers those columns, but in the magazine, she has the support of psychologists, experts who could actually help her getting those answers. In real life, Lane is a very introverted person who doesn't have a lot of friends. So Lane's husband dies in a freak accident, and her child Henry stops talking to everyone but her. When things get difficult, because her husband was a very people's person, she couldn't live there anymore, and she decides to move. Now, moving houses is nothing new to Lane, because as a kid her family has been moving around all the time. So Lane feels that her family isn't very open about things. They don't really talk about what's really going on, because on the surface everything is fine and they don't really talk honestly. They always avoid talking things. That is what she always felt about her family, but she never confronts her family. So her mother has this set of rules for moving houses, because they move around a lot, and Lane tries to follow those rules. But when she realizes that if her son needs to get better, she has to be open and more honest about things. That is what this book is about. I enjoyed it a lot. It talks about very deep things like mental health and how children absorb things around them, and how we should be really careful when dealing with kids. I already have a detailed review of this book in my blog. So the last book is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. So Lena had just lost her mother and she finds out that she has a father in Italy. But she has never heard of this father before because as she was growing up, her father was never in the picture and she never questioned her mother. Lena had a very good relationship with her mother, so she wonders why her mother never told her about her father, because all of a sudden she has to go to Italy to live with this person, and her grandmother ships her to Tuscany so that she could get to know about her dad. And she's all depressed and sad when she comes to Italy. But then she gets this journal that her mother had while she was staying in Italy. Lena takes an interest in this journal and she decides to find her answers through this journal because that is as close as she would get her answers from her mother. So she takes this journey that her mother had taken many years ago, and when she discovers the past, it is very heartbreaking. So the book came out in 2016. I understand at 2016 a lot of those things were acceptable. But this is 2020 and when you read Love and Gelato now, it feels a bit dated, to be honest. A lot of the things in this book feel really dated. That is all I would say. I don't think the book, because at that time, what was mentioned in the book is all very acceptable. Now we have moved forward, that's all. So I like the romance, the relationships, and the gelatos, and the history and art mentioned in the place. It plays really a character in the book, and I enjoyed because I've never been to Italy and I know that it is a beautiful place. On that note, I like the book. So this is a one-time read for me again. So there we go. That is a quick wrap of all the books I read in July. I hope I can maintain the reading high which I found by the end of July throughout August. So if you have read any of these books, let me know in the comments, and if you wish to read any of these books, let me know in the comments as well. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.